Good morning, everybody. Sorry for the delay, man. This Zoom's making me crazy this starting this week. I pressed a button and it hid the controls. I couldn't get them back. Anyway, let's get this thing rolling. Is this thing live or not? Give me a second here. Let's continue. All right, so you see the screen started. I was like, what is this market waiting for? Some of the banks reported earnings. I see XLF is down and some others. And I just picked this pattern here in XLK because things began to advance yesterday, tech. And so one of the themes that I spoke about yesterday was this wide range bar that formed. This isn't a great example, but you can see the range expansion bar there. And it's got to stay above it. And it is. So now in this chart, one of the better looking things compared, say, to the S&P, where the range expanded a bit. And it's up several days in a row. And what we really need to see, and I'm saying why I titled this, what is this market waiting for? So things are, well, where they were flattish down a little bit here, not doing too much. Tech is down. This really should start to accelerate higher. Now, this is up against some resistance right there. That doesn't mean it can't go through it because it was consolidating for several weeks. But the longer it takes doing nothing, the greater the potential to retrace back into here, into this little void. And then we'd have to see where it goes. But this really needs to get going. And we got some earnings. The retail sales were out. I guess they weren't much of anything to move anything. Starting to see more, just checking news here and there, more news about China slowing down. I don't know if that's a concern or not, but anyway, just looking at the patterns, this thing needs to get going. If it consolidates today, that's fine, but then it needs to get going tomorrow, whatever it's waiting for, rather than spending too much time here and then potentially moving under this little cluster of bars. Now, as opposed to, let's say, SMH, this consolidation, we've got a decent, not huge, but range expansion bar. And this one took out the lows and flipped up. Much better pattern. And, it's also at resistance, you can see on the weekly chart, but it needs to get going. Now it's down here a little bit, really not that big of a deal. It's still at the top there. The way it ran up, not surprised to see some hesitancy. But again, we need to see things start moving. Clearly, the banks aren't helping. So I read some of them reported decent earnings. Others are whatever, not great. But looking at XLF, it's popping back up here a little bit. So no real damage done, even and that little poke lower, and it's coming back up again. Just whatever these markets are waiting for, maybe they just need to consolidate, even like yesterday's run up. So again, things got to get moving. And let's go to SPY. And here you can see the little narrow range days, which is building a little shelf of support that prices need to stay above. I think the good thing this morning is that they're not gapping higher, because if they were gapping higher, then It definitely would have to be a gap and go with a pattern like this. And if it didn't, it could open up the door to a bearish day coming back down under those lows. So neutral for today is okay. But I'll repeat it, things got to get going here. And they can go up, depending on what we look at, like tech underperforming, it's at resistance. It certainly could get through it because of the consolidation, whereas the S&P has room to go up to 460. Bank earnings out, that should have been something to spark them if they were good, but it's not. And things are just opening up here neutral, so no big deal. Yesterday, moved above the highs, little rejection. Just looking at things on a close by close basis, inching up ever so slightly. So momentum has stalled. This is close to that pivot high. It's got room to get there. Minor support is down here. However, just based on these tight or narrow range bars, we really want to see, as you can see, I'll move this over here. We'd really like to see prices stay above this little retest pattern right there. So retesting the high, and as we look at bar by bar, daily bars, and open that up, we see a consolidation in where the support is, and why I'm saying we want to see prices stay above yesterday's low. Otherwise, it opens up the door to coming down into the void below. And of course, the minor support is there. We'll see if it holds or down to the 20. We're waiting. SPX. So while it's got this tight consolidation, things are tightening up, and strike could be relatively easy to hit. And I had 45.50 and was hoping like 45.55, but things came in a little bit, and 45, 45, 45. It's not that far away, and this being in an uptrend, and I'm not sure what's going to spark this to go higher, since news is already out. But so I'm not too comfortable with that. But all of these relatively tight strikes have been holding, and 45. If it starts coming in, 44, 85, or even 80, if it starts coming down. And you can see if it breaks these lows, it's going to hit that strike. So it's not like things were at one point where, the spreads are so far away. This is relatively tight now because of, leverage and whatever. If this was a stock, it would never even be considered. And I think there's a little touchy whether even to consider this because of the relatively small distance to those strikes. Extension, void below. Again, it's got to get going. It could move up to 400, the next whole number. It's not doing anything here, which is okay. We're waiting. Futures, you can see so far just up at the top of the range. It can move up to that next level. We wait and see how the day progresses. The Russell has room to move up toward that 2000, sitting here doing nothing again. Very neutral to nothing open. The Dow continues to consolidate at this area of significant resistance. It ain't going down. Just a lot of flip-flopping going on, as you can see on the weekly chart. Hesitant up here, which is okay, but if it breaks a prior bar's low, I mean, you can see what happens here before, where you have a nice strong move. The anticipation is it'll keep going. It stalls. And at some point, buyers just say, it ain't going. So let me get out and reassess. And the thing is, we don't have what we like to see in situations like this is a gap down. Let's look at the diamonds better. These are futures and it's 24 hours. But what you like to see is, some type of a significant gap down, and then it reverses. That's a type of continuation pattern. Or like with SMH, you get a range expansion bar, not a great one, but at least it took out the low and flips back up again. So not the greatest of patterns here. Bitcoin, we can cover yesterday, just getting really messy, flip-flopping back and forth. Gold is up here a bit, moving up toward that resistance. We covered the dollar yesterday and its short-term demise. Silver, just a blast off at the time when that happened. And again, we'd like to see some kind of continuation pattern where the prices could go higher from there. And crude oil, pulling back, it hit the 20 MA, the 200 MA, but breaking out, buyers should show up right in this area, right where these overlapping opens and closes are here. And that is going to put a little more, and when it flips up, it'll put a little more pressure on these airlines that are pulling back. You see the depth of the pullback toward major support and the topping tail that was left last week. So a little kink in the armor of the bullish case. You've got tech, semiconductors that look like they could go higher. Let's see if they get moving today. And that's everything I covered. What is market needs to get going here, and we'll see if that actually unfolds today. All yours, Dan.
Morning. All right, let's start off earnings season. I don't have any alarms going off on our opens, so all of those are fine. Actually, this Mindy, we were trying to sell puts on it. I was hoping we'd get a little retracement, and we did not get a retracement to sell puts, unfortunately. The daily, weekly, monthly all look great on Mindy. And banks here, Bank of America up a little bit, no pattern. PNC call spread idea. I'll check that. I love selling credit spreads on earning stocks or buying them if there's a pattern, of course. BK, remember the other day, last Friday, on the heels of STT, a number of these regional banks got whacked. Look at STT. Can't see, no volume. LMT, we gave this yesterday as a day trade long idea. It would have been a no-brainer swing trade, breakout of a bottoming pattern. Little bear sandwich here, all these converging and rising MAs with a big void. I mean, this is exactly the picture of a quality bottoming pattern. But earnings got in our way, but it still gave a nice day trade for those who took it. Gapping up here. Keep an eye on it on a pullback. I'll put it here in this middle chart. And that could be a put spread idea too. Schwab up here on the earnings. Nice gap. But no setup that I'm comfortable with. Volumes. Is this right? Are Macy's at earnings today? I'm not sure if that's right. Or upgrade or something or other. Otherwise, it wouldn't be here on my list. Yes, I don't, that has to be a typo, because yeah, I don't recognize. I didn't Macy's. PLD gapping up a little bit, top of the range, but bullish weekly, monthly. So ideally, it slops around and pulls back a little bit. Actro, no volume. CFB gapping on the top of the range, no pattern. ELS, I don't see any gaps. We'll come back. FBK 3270, so a gap breakout. I'm watching a pullback. SYF gapping up a little bit. We'll come back. Another little bear sandwich. Massey, that's getting killed. I'm gonna put this in my watch for excessive gap. We will just watch and see if buyers view that as a gift or if it's going to get pounded some more. NVS. Now this was a sell setup in reversal, but it negated yesterday's gap down. And now it's gapping up here, no pattern. And that's it. PII. You know, we were talking about in the green room yesterday, things that are extended and like what new patterns would I do? And that started a discussion of, well, how do you define extended? And just one quick visual thing is far from the 20 on that time frame. So this one's not as bad, but there was a number of them like Sam was giving me, and I was just saying the danger is the market internals getting at extremes that they just have more of a possibility of failing. And I just think those compelling setups that are closer to support are better. Marvel, let's say that it broke out. It got I would call that a minor little bear sandwich. So that one's not bad. That's on a long watch, bullish weekly, monthly. View, you know, this one might be a good one to talk about tomorrow for for bottoming patterns. Look at this. It's a 16-cent stock. But is it bottoming? I don't know. But I don't like trading. I don't like trading pink sheet stocks, you know, that have 4 decimal places. Rose MAC long, but volume. That's a buy setup. What do you mean? I don't know what you mean when you say but volume. It has 2.8 million shares.
The last couple of days are nothing. That's as I look at your chart.
Yeah, but I think that's because this volume is skewing it. That's yesterday's volume, so it's massive.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one big volume day here is squishing them, I think. So no, it looks totally fine to me. I have a big long watch list here. Like here, look at net. This was one we entered yesterday. Bullish price action, red bar ignored. Bull flag weekly, 1, 2, 3 monthly. Look at AT&T and Verizon getting killed. I mentioned in the green room yesterday, I would have loved for this thing to like gap down $1 or something today, just to be a short-term exhaustion gap, but I'll watch that. Here I posted one new stock, Bravo Lima. Let me put that in the window. So Bravo Lima is another example of a new setup. So see, this is, kind of it's a 180 reversal, 2050 price void. So it's what we call a catch-up trade. Verizon here got killed also. Look at the volume on that. So see that this could set up a great day trade, because that's what we call wide range ending on volume. Now it doesn't mean that can't have another wide range bar down, but that's telling me that's getting close to its puke point. And now look on the 15-minute chart, it's gapping up and there's a void. So this could, I'm going to put it in the window, could be a beautiful day trade. Cube. Why am I looking at Cube? Oh, I think McGraw asked me about it. Daily, weekly, monthly are bullish, but I told him you gotta wait for a pullback. I'm hyper here. And I see my eye is just trained to recognize beautiful concepts. And where my eye went to, this is a beautiful breakdown failure. It negated the red bars going sideways. It's above the 20 and the 50. Now here's a wide range closing breakout. That would have been a great time to enter this little, whatever the heck hyper is. Mac, there's your buy setup. All right, now I'll just keep continuing here with my watch list from yesterday. This is a bear 1, 2, 3. So I have an alarm set at 2710. EPAC, it's not ready, but daily, weekly, monthly are just chopping around, buying time. But look at the moving averages. If I were to take the candles off, I have long-term uptrends, I got intermediate term uptrend, and I got a flat 20. So that just tells you by definition it's a consolidation and an uptrend, and it's not extended. Look at the distance of these. So I'm not trading the moving averages, but I'm just highlighting an example of they're just speeding up the analysis. I don't need to blow up the chart to see that it's in an intermediate and longer term uptrend. These MAs are telling me that. So that's on my watch list. Flex, strong as can be, and I see the distance of these three. This one's telling me this one's a lot more extended than EPAC. So this one, with the internals being where they are, you got to keep your eye on the exit door. Shack also, look at the angle of this 20 and 50, far from the 200. You all see this? These are great moving average examples here, just that I found by accident. Stavros, yeah, I got T-Doc. Yeah, I got T-Doc bottom right chart. Let's see, I love this. When this morning it was hovering just over 26. See, that is ideal gap, 26. And then you could do 5-10 minute high, just make sure it holds strength. But now it just darted another buck and change. The bigger the gap, relative to where you think its destination is and stop, makes it not as attractive. So yeah, it's on the list, but wish it was only gap into 26. All right, Trex, bullish daily, weekly, monthly, but far from the 20. JB Hunt alarm just went off. This is a buy setup, bottoming tail. You can watch that on a small pullback. Bloomin' Onion, bullish, daily, weekly, monthly. MC, bullish. I like Friday's bottoming tail is a correction bar. Migni, I have an alarm at 1545. This looks fantastic, daily, weekly, monthly. Zuo, yesterday's high. I have an alarm at 1120. ONON, ideally, it will consolidate for 2 days. Yeah, it's far from the 20, but it's bullish weekly and monthly. CMCSA. Sloppy buy setup. LRCX. Ideally, we get a 1, 2, 3 now with the gap down. Hack. Looks great. Daily, weekly, monthly. Net was a new addition of ours yesterday. And we did a put spread. Let's see where that's at. We did the 65, 63 put spread for Friday. And a bit of nickel, trying to get out. Amgen, up alarm. Bottoming pattern. It's a nice bottoming pattern. You know, look at price action. It's got my 20 and 50. Look at the weekly. Is a beautiful double bottom. So that's not bad at all. My only a little hesitancy is this resistance here, but you can see why it's on my list.
Take a look at LHX. It's tickling above this base right now, maybe above a 5-minute high.
Yeah, that's great. Daily, weekly. That's we got a bull sandwich followed by a bear sandwich. Earnings 726, so we're good. But yeah, that looks great. LMT is in my middle chart.